Good morning, friends, and welcome to our session today on Don't Let Your Possessions Possess You. It's a wonderful topic, and let's start with a prayer together. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, great masters, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Layadima Shaya, Swami Shri Yukteswarji, beloved Master Paramhansa Yogananda Ji, saints of all religions, we bow at thy feet. We ask thy blessings on this satsang. May we feel thy divine presence in our hearts, minds, and souls. We bow to thee again and again for the many blessings you have bestowed on us in this lifetime. Bless our efforts until we realize thee. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We'll start with a song and then an excerpt from a talk by Swamiji on this topic. Welcome again to everybody.
If you're seeking freedom in a revolution, oh, if you're seeking freedom, you won't find it there. For once the guns stop blazing, you'll find it amazing how the world can drag on just as before. If you're seeking freedom in a marble mansion, oh, if you're seeking freedom, you won't find it there. For even when it's sunny, you'll be counting money, keeping up that showcase, your face lined with care. And if you're seeking freedom on a throne of power, oh, if you're seeking freedom, you won't find it there. For though men all obey you, what if they betray you? Tense you'll be and waiting for foes everywhere. But if you're seeking freedom, cast away desires, why barter like a beggar, you've wealth everywhere. For never can you buy it, grasp and you deny it, freedom can't be hoarded, it's free as the air. And if you're seeking freedom, seek it on the mountains, God's sunlight on your shoulders, the wind in your hair. For there's no one can hold you, boss about or mold you. Once your heart is free, you'll be king everywhere.
How many people have come to my guru or come to great gurus and wanted to join and wanted to be sadhus and wanted to dedicate their lives to God. And then their mother wept and pleaded with them, please come home. And so they've gone home. And I'm afraid I don't have much patience with that kind of attitude. I've said to some of them, look, your mother wants you for herself. But that's not love. If you were to die and be reborn next door, she would not know you. She might feel a sort of affection for you, born of some instinct, but she wouldn't know you unless she was very highly advanced, in which case she would not ask you to give up. You know Swami Pranabananda, the saint with two bodies in the autobiography of a yogi? Master told me about him that at the age of 6, he was born in a little village in India. He was completely free. But at the age of 6, he decided he would go off and, well, it wasn't his decision. God led him. But he left that village to go and live with Babaji in the Himalayas. And Master said, and you can imagine it, what a stir that caused in the village. Imagine a 6-year-old boy just saying, I'm sorry, I'm leaving. Master also told me of the story of Sukadeva. When he was leaving Vyasa and he wanted to find a guru. And Master put it to me this way. He said, Vyasa was perfectly competent to be a guru, but he had a little bit of attachment to this boy as his son. And when he was running after Vyasa to bring him back, to use Master's words, Vyasa looked at him and said, "Stay away from me, you have Maya." As if you have a disease. The greatest disease of all, in fact, is Maya, ignorance. And so then his guru gave him the name of Raja Janaka, and he went to him and accepted him as his guru. And even at that time, Sukadeva was very wise, but he sort of looked down on Janaka because he was a king with all the wealth of a king and so on. And Janaka taught him a lesson. He had a fire created in his palace. It didn't really burn anything, but it looked as if it was burning everything, and people were fleeing for their lives. And somebody jumped in front of Janaka. He said, leave, the fire's coming to this room. And Sukadeva, who was very much of a scholar, he took all his scriptures and held them to protect them. And Janaka looked at him, he said, "You're more attached to your books than I am to this palace." It was then that Sukadeva accepted Janaka as his guru. It isn't what you have or don't have, it's how free you are in your heart.
Welcome again, everyone. This is such an important topic. And what Swamiji said at the end is so important. It's not what you have or what you don't have, is who and what you are inside, which is a part of God, which is the soul. And I remember times I had a lot, times I hardly had anything. Time I had more money, sometimes I didn't have more money, sometimes I had better health, sometimes I didn't have good health. It really doesn't matter if you can feel yourself in oneness with God. And how do we do that? How do we really break attachments? By going inside, by meditation, by Kriya Yoga, by Kriya burning up the karma and attachments and the desires and all the obstacles, all the things you think you need and you want, and you have to have it. And if you don't have it, you're not going to be happy. And it goes on. And there's no end to it. And only thing that can break that from going outside yourself and seeking more and more, as Master said, cut the sense telephone wires. He said in Kriya, you redirect the outward flowing energy back into its source in the spine and up to the spiritual eye. And when you can every day practice Kriya and Hong Sa and Om and be in good company and all these things, you start to see that you're just not as attached to this world. You're not as attached to all the things that you think that bring you happiness when they really don't. I love my car. I love my new phone. I love my new computer. I love my house. You really don't. Really, I mean, you're just affirming that you do. But Jayaji was saying one time he got a new car, and then he said he would, when he would park it, he would, park the car and walk away, and they'd turn and look at the car. It's like in the beginning, and your new phone. I've got my phone, and it's beautiful, and I've got all the apps, and I've got my new MacBook Pro, and it goes on. And I know someone lives near me who has 5 cars. They're all new. 5 cars? There's only 2 drivers in the house. I mean, how much do you really need? But it goes on and on and on. It's endless until you break that cycle. And the only way you can break it is by going inside and affirming that this is who I am. And it's not enough to visualize and do affirmations and hope that you can get rid of your desires and your possessions, you not be possessed by your possessions. You have to do something about it. You have to really pull in through sadhana, through silence, through seclusion, through chanting, through seva, through satsang. And then you just find these things that were just like clinging to you. There's a force that tries to cling to you, but you can't break it by just the mind. You have to break it by the inner experience of God. And once you have that taste, you realize the other, you don't need it at all. And I was remembering a few stories of Master's life. He didn't have attachments, but one time he had a pet deer, and and he liked this deer. I mean, this was older. He was older in his life at that time. I don't know what age, but the deer was dying, and Master, he didn't want the deer to go, and it was just a little bit of. We all have that. I just don't want this dream to change. Divine Mother was changing the dream. And then the deer came to him in a dream and said, listen, it's time for me to go. And I think honestly, with attachments that you have, and it's time for things to change, and for parents to just, offer your child, offer your family, offer everything you have, offer to God, and just say, I don't want to be attached. Thank you for allowing me to hold this child, or hold this family, or whatever it is. Thank you for the blessing. Thank you for the blessing of health. But if I saw Swamiji unwell so many times, I mean, a good part of his life, honestly, he was still happy. He was still glowing in God. And then people think, well, what about, they're attached to their beauty, or they're attached to their hair till there's no more hair there. They're attached to their beauty. And then when you get older, you're not that beautiful outwardly, but you're beautiful inwardly. It shifts, the dream changes. And we have to realize we're not a part of that dream anyway. And so all the things you're clinging to, what are you going to have? You come alone, you leave alone from this world. You can't take those possessions with you. And so it's better to just say, Divine Mother, I offer everything. I offer my talents. Swamiji, he would say over and over, he wrote all those books. He said, it's not mine. It's from Divine Mother. They're hers. The same with the music. It's not mine. It wasn't from me. It was from God. And I see people going, it was my idea. I did this. I did that. It's just such a drawback. Really, offer whatever. If you sing, if you chant, if you are a dancer, if you're a good speaker, or whatever it is, just give it. And I remember a woman at Ananda Village had a beautiful, beautiful voice. One of the most beautiful voices, maybe the most beautiful voice, but she got into ego. And then she lost her voice for a while. And it's no joke. If you use things in the wrong way, Divine Mother, take that, and you don't have that anymore. So better to offer. And I was remembering also Master, he had this motorcycle, and this boy came by. I think he was next door or something, I don't remember, but he was in the neighborhood, and he came in. And he looked at it, so longingly. And Master said, oh, you like it? He says, oh, yes, I really like it. And Master said, here's the keys. And he went in and got the papers, the registration papers. He just gave it. So another wonderful thing to do is anything that you feel you can give away and not cry about it. Give it. I remember Swamiji told this story. He bought, when he was with Master, he bought a harmonium, and there weren't many harmoniums in Los Angeles at those times, or anybody selling them, or definitely not in any shops. And so he was able to get a harmonium finally, and Master told him to get devotion. So he got the harmonium, and he sees Master as he comes in. Master's going up the elevator, and so Swamiji sees him, and he says, Master, look what I have. I got a harmonium. And Master said, oh, great, I'm buying it. And then Swamiji said, it was his harmonium. Why would Master be buying it? So he said he wasn't going to let his guru buy it. So he said, okay, Master, I'm giving it to you. Master didn't say anything. It was a test. Then a day or so later, but Master explained, he said, I was saying to you that I'm buying it for you. And but Swamiji said, then I wasn't going to take it back. I got another one. But that's what you get so excited. I look what I have. And then Divine Mother says, I'm buying it. I'm taking it. And so just let Divine Mother give you what you want and hold it as long as you need. But then, gee, don't hang on to it. Just feel. I remember just a while back, as you all know, I was in America and I had so much of a good feeling about only taking a small suitcase, but I came back with a big one because I got so many things that I wanted to have here in India. And that's what happens, you know, you have to have something bigger and better and, you know, on and on. And how many things do you really need? How many cars? How many phones? Or some people have 2 or 3 phones. It just, honestly, it gets to be too much. And the thing is, it's not what you have, it's what you're doing with it. And I remember a fabulous story about Swamiji. Boy, it taught me so much I'll never forget. We were getting a house for him in Gurgaon to stay when he was coming. He was only going to be in the house for 2 months, no, 2 weeks actually. And then some of us moved into the house afterwards. So I was going to go, it was a brand new place, unfurnished, had to be painted, everything. So I was going to go get the furnishings for the house. So I wrote to another Guru Bhai. I said, I'm going to go shopping for the things for Swamiji's house. Do you want to come? And she was with Swamiji at the time. She wrote back immediately, Swamiji's coming too. And I thought, oh my gosh. And so he enjoyed. I saw him buy so many things with so much joy and give things away. And, you know, I saw him buy like 30 paintings in an hour, but they were all for the Crystal Hermitage. And they were for Ananda. It wasn't for him. He built the Crystal Hermitage with his parents' inheritance. It wasn't for him. It was for the community. So I remember we went to this big department like store, the furnishing store. And we were walking around there and we were gifted whatever we needed for the house. He had just such a joyful time in there. You know, I'll have this and let's get this couch, let's get these 2 chairs, let's get the table. He tried the beds out, he tried, you know, I like shopping, but I couldn't match that. And so we got all these things and we got home, they delivered the things later. We put everything away, made it nice. And then Swamiji moved in about, I don't know, once we got everything set, he moved into the house. And we had new drapes, we had new everything, but the kitchen was new. We had carpet, we had the couches, we had the chairs, we had the chandelier, we had everything you can imagine. It was just really lovely. And I felt so happy to be in that beautiful house and look at the drapes and look at the pillows and all of this. And Swamiji walked in that house and he walked in one room, the other. He didn't say anything. And then he looked at us. He says, okay, time to get to work. And he just went to his computer and he started working. He started writing. And I thought, wow, he's not attached at all. I was still fluffing up the pillows and looking at the couch and the colors, and he just went straight to work. He didn't have one iota of attachment to anything that we had bought. And I think that scene happened a lot for me and the others who were there because we were just so happy we had all those things. He wanted that to be set up nicely for Master's work, for whoever would come for an interview and to talk with him or whatever. But he stayed there for 2 weeks, no attachment, and he walked out the door. Wow, what a good lesson. So for all of us, just whatever God has given you, be grateful. Sometimes I get something new. If it's small enough, I put it on the altar and just thank God. And whatever ideas or inspirations or talents or whatever, just thank you, God. I just want to serve you. That's the only reason I'm here in this lifetime. Whatever you want to give me, I'll keep it, but I don't want to be attached. And there's always some little holding. So just say, I don't want to be attached. Even if you are attached, just say, I don't want this, Master. And it's a good thing at nighttime or when you meditate, just offer everything. It's all for you, God. It's all for you. It's all for you. It's all for you. I love what Swamiji said. He said, Everything else besides finding God and your spiritual life is just fillers. Just a filler. Then when you leave, are you going to take your new phone and your computer and your new harmonium and your everything with you? No. Offer it to God now, and you just feel so free. And again, I'll just say the only way really to get rid of those attachments is to go inside, and you start feeling the bliss inside. You just don't even care, like Pranabananda, he just couldn't even do his work anymore. It was so filled with bliss. And that fellow Brinda, who Lahiri Mahashaya, the disciple of Lahiri, he said, well, didn't you want more Kriya? He said, no, master, don't ask me. I'm so happy. I'm just so blissful. I can't do my work anymore. I mean, that's where you want to be, just so in God that there's other things that, if they're helpful to you, fine, but don't be attached. Be only there for God, and you'll find that what a blissful life you have. And the other things seem like what Master said, stale cheese. You just don't want it anymore. In the beginning, it's okay, but then you get more and more inside of the delicious, as Swamiji said. He said about Kriya Yoga, it's delicious. And he also said it's like a magic wand. You practice Kriya and just knocks everything off. Everything goes away besides that desire for God. God bless you all. And I'll ask Nitendra to come on the screen now. We have a few questions. And you want to play that talk, Nitendra, first? We have just a beautiful, very quick excerpt by Swamiji we want to play before the questions.
There was an interesting story in my life with Master. He had placed me in charge of the monks. And so I once asked the Master if during classes that I was giving for the new monks, it would be all right to include a few stories from the life of Krishna. To my surprise, he replied cautiously, "It's all right to tell them a few of those stories," he said, "but be careful to choose only those with a clear message. The stories of Krishna, especially those of his boyhood in Vrindavan, are allegorical. They have been greatly misunderstood by Westerners and by many Indians as well. Westerners, especially when reading them, think the gopis were ordinary young women enjoying the emotion of human love. Actually, the gopis were incarnated rishis. They took birth to show allegorically the soul's relationship with the divine beloved. There was nothing sensual or impure in that relationship. Worldly people, when they hear those stories, project onto them their own sensual or selfish tendencies. The reality wasn't like that at all. Those stories were intended to win people away from lust and desire. Therefore, I say, be careful how you present them to your classes." Then he told a story showing the transcendent nature of Krishna's relationship with the gopis, or cowherd girls, the disciples of his. The Master told us, Krishna and Radha, his closest gopi disciple, were walking together in the forest. She felt drawn down briefly to the delusion of being a woman whose own dear beloved was Krishna. With sagging shoulders, she said to him, "I'm feeling very tired." Krishna, well aware of what she was feeling, asked her, "Would you like me to carry you?" Oh, she was so pleased. "Yes," she cried happily. "Would you?" He bent down to let her jump onto his back. The moment she jumped, however, he disappeared. She landed flat on the ground. At once she realized her mistake and cried tearfully, "Oh Krishna, Lord, please forgive me. I know that in your true nature you are infinite, and that your love is given equally to all. Please, please come back." Krishna appeared again, quite unconcerned at what had occurred. Peacefully they continued their walk through the forest.
We have a few questions, Dhyanaji.
Okay,
The first one is I have aspirations for my life and things that I would like to do. So is that wrong?
yeah, go for it. I mean, you have energy, you have to do something in life and put your focus and energy into the right things, meaning ask God and gurus to help you to understand what they want you to do, how to go about your life, but don't be lazy sitting on the couch thinking something's going to happen. You've got to have a lot of energy to even find God. You have to have focus, you have to have determination, you have to have dedication, loyalty, stick-to-itiveness, Shakti. You got to put energy out. But still, don't be attached to it. I did it. Look at me. I'm the boss. There's 300 people under me. I've heard this so many times here in India. Why? It's just not, it's not necessary. Think more of God is doing it. He's the boss. And, we're all a team or we're working together. But as soon as you get on a high horse, then I find that the horse sometimes disappears and you're flat on your face. And so that's to go for things, but don't let it affect you that you become in your egotistical.
Thank you,
Yep.
Dhyanaji. Yeah. We have a live question, Dhyanaji.
Mm-hmm.
So while we are practicing meditation and we are on the path of spirituality and doing what is the techniques and so on,
Yeah.
but at the same time, we also indulge in, let's say, self-care to look good and feel good. So is that self-attachment?
I think I think you should look your best without going overboard. Some people go overboard and then, it's just like they're glamorous suddenly and everything is looking so good. But honestly, later in life, you don't look good. I mean, you just don't. So, I mean, inwardly, you have the glow if you've been practicing Kriya and practicing. I was shocked. I'm going to tell you that I met these people. They were in another country years back, and they were glowing. And we were teaching Kriya, and they took Kriya and everything. But then I saw a picture of them recently. I was just shocked. And that was like 30 years ago. I met them, and I asked someone, are they still doing Kriya? And the person said, I don't think so. There was a definite difference. The light was not there. And so try to get the inner glow. I mean, the other thing, you don't want to walk around with a torn t-shirt like Swamiji did when Rajasi came to visit Mount Washington. And Master looked at Swamiji, was 22, 23. And Master said, you don't have to look like that. Go put on a proper shirt. So I see people, I'm a renunciate, their hair is all over and the mess, their scarf is messed up. And, it just, why? Swamiji looked great. And so did Master. I mean, shoes polished, good looking outfit and hair nice and everything, but don't get into your ego. I'm beautiful, You find Divine Mother takes that beauty right away from you. Look at my hair. Then it starts falling out. That's scary. That's scary. So just be natural and be humble, be God's child. You don't have to put on a show for anybody. And anyway, I think you get the point.
Yeah, thank you, Dhyanaji. Another live question, Dhyanaji.
Acha, this is a good topic, I see.
How can I be non-attached with my family, especially like my children, because it's very difficult because we love them?
It's a good question. And you have to give your family energy. I can't go home to America to my family and say namaste, and don't even hug them or anything. They grab you and pull you in, it's like, gosh, you've been gone all this time. So you have to be realistic and natural. But in your heart, give your family, give your children, give everything to God. Don't in your heart say it's all mine. They're all mine. And I'm in charge of you. And just say, even if we do have attachments until we're free. Let's face it. But just say, Master, take this child as your own. And I know I've given birth or I'm the parent or whatever, but really I'm yours, the child is yours, my spouse is yours. You know, when Master's mother died, who came to him? Divine Mother. Said, I was in all the mothers. You didn't realize it. And that's the thing. Divine Mother's in all the children and in your spouse and in your family. And so just have it in the right, see it in the right way. If you just dive in the deep end and say everything is mine and they're mine, and like Swamiji said, you won't even recognize them. They're born next door in the next life. And that's the biggest thing, isn't it? You don't want to carry all your attachments. You don't want to have all this big, huge load of attachments in your next life. Try to get rid of them in this lifetime. So be careful with that. You know, what I do is just anything I get, Master, is yours. I'm not going to keep this as my own. You've let me hold it for a while, but it's yours. It's for your work. And Swamiji told me something that really has helped me over the years. He said, Dhyana, anything I received, anything people gave me, I used it for Master's work. That's something to keep in your mind, you know, and even in your heart, and even if it's for your meditation, just think, well, that came to me, but I'm meditating, you know, on that or with that or whatever. Some offering it to God. Don't take things into yourself. And you can see it in people's faces, the desires. There's so many desires in those eyes and the attachments. And I looked in somebody's eyes recently. I had to look away. It was just so heavy in there. It was scary. So just know that it's not a joke. It's written on your face. I want this, I want that, I hear this, you know, it's just all over your face. Just have a face of freedom. Have a face of joy. Have a face of I love God. Have the eyes of I love God. And let the children, they are your children in this life, but when you get too attached to them, you know, things happen. And it's not such a happy life anymore with the children, isn't it? Or with the spouse or with the relatives. Or best thing is always offer to God.
Thank you, Nanaji. One last question. I like to shop and buy things, and I tend to collect more than perhaps what is needed. So how can I work with this tendency?
But you don't shop, do you, Nitendra? I can't imagine you out shopping. But I do like to shop, but what can I shop for now? It's blue every day. But what was the question? You like to shop, but what?
I like to shop and buy a lot of things that I don't perhaps need. So how can I work with this tendency?
Yeah, buy it and give it away. If you really like to shop, you know, that's what Swamiji told us. Get it, but give it to somebody else. And the other thing is people, I mean, I go to people's houses, not a lot, but I'm talking about my own relatives. It's just full of stuff. I don't know about your house. You open the closet, boom, you know, all these things are falling out. And I said to my mother, I said, do you have to have all those shoes? Don't talk to me about yoga. I don't want to hear it right now. It's like, how many shoes do you need? I would say, just think about clearing your closet. Get things you don't need, move them along. If you buy something new, give something away. That's my theory. I get something new, give something away. And then you keep the energy flowing. Otherwise, it's so stagnant and you just get heavier and heavier. You got all these possessions and, you know, you can't even move anymore. So let the energy flow by giving to others, and you will find that you feel so much freer. The point is to feel more free. And I'll close with this very brief, short story from Devi Ji's blog. There's a delightful story of a wandering sadhu whose only possessions were a loincloth and a blanket. Once a curious passerby asked him, how can you get along with so little? Surprised, the saintly sadhu answered, what do you mean? I have everything I need, a roof over my head, a comfortable bed, a pillow, ample clothes to keep me warm. Puzzled, the passerby asked, where do you have these things? The saint replied, when it rains, I put the blanket over a tree branch, and that is my roof. When it's time to sleep, I arrange the blanket in a nice bed. And when it's cold, I wrap the blanket around me. I have all that I need. And that's the end of that story. When I was thinking, when Master went to the Himalayas, he took the Gita, a mala, and a picture of Lahiri Mahashaya. And that was all he needed. God bless you all. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, Natindra.